Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this amazing new episode. Welcome back to the Spirituality podcast, where we will pour a cup of tea, slow down, and have conversations that nourish the soul. I'm your host, Kiara, and today we're sharing a conversation that I think will resonate with anyone who has ever wondered, why am I here? How do I connect with who I truly am? Or what if my spiritual journey is really about remembering instead of becoming? Joining me today is the author, Suzi Pruett, whose book, The Spiral Codex, A Path to Sovereignty and Sacred Remembrance, invites readers into a symbolic journey through awakening, healing, embodiment, and ultimately living from a place of spiritual sovereignty. Whether you're new to spirituality or have been walking your own path for years, I hope today's conversation inspires you to reflect on your own journey of remembrance. So grab your favorite cup of tea or coffee, take a deep breath, and let's dive in. Suzi, welcome to SpiritualiTea.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. I can't wait to talk.
I'm going to share the screen so everybody can see your book, because your book is so pretty.
I worked hard on that cover.
Cute. That way everybody can see it while you're talking about it. But I was blown away because I remember we actually met through the school group, and I was curious, how did you come to my school group? Was it through someone else?
Yeah, the Oracle Summit.
Oh.
I binged every last episode when Katya did it. And I thought I broke my brain for a minute there, but everybody that I resonated with, I just signed up. I think I ended up joining something like 17 or 18 groups, but I've always been kind of attracted to astrology. That I used to read the little blurbs as a kid, and mine always seemed right on. And then for a while, they kind of went off like somebody was just writing garbage out there. But that's how I came to your class, and it's been pretty fun, or your group.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I was like really excited to talk to you. I actually reached out to her because we've been bantering back and forth, kind of joking in the school group. She always has amazing input or thoughts whenever I post like some kind of an event or some kind of topic or, subject. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what it is about her, but I just really want to talk to her. So I was like, let's chat it up, girl. You tell me about what your book is, because you had mentioned it.
Well, it's basically about trying to remember who you really are. We didn't come here without a plan. We came here with a plan to help everybody. And I was just running through all different modalities. I've learned crystals and chakras, and I got into frequency. And I got into a frequency group on Facebook. I had to use my sister's spare account because I got booted from Facebook. But when we were in the group, the woman who was there had been injured. She was in the military, and I can't remember what her injury was, but she was using frequency to heal. Oh. And I had already been into frequency. I had, was looking at it because I had a lot of dizziness. I've had 9 rear end accidents, 3 rollovers, 1 end over end. Luckily, none of them were my fault, but don't ever buy a green car.
I know, girl. I'm like, dang.
And, because everybody was like, the light was green. There was no light there. But I saw her original video where she could barely speak. She was having up to 100 seizures a day, and they wrote her off. The military hospital wrote her off. The regular hospitals wrote her off. And she had been creating frequencies. And that's how she healed herself. Wow. And you can't tell from, it's a massive difference for her that from one video to the next. And you would never know that she was ever injured. And I'm like, okay, I need to be here. I need to do this. Well, she started teaching us all this stuff. And my guides were like, nope, you get words. I'm like, oh, come on. I really, really want to do the tones, because the tones helped me with the dizziness and stuff. I can listen to them for like 10, 15 minutes and I'm good to go. I don't have any more issues because medically they can't find anything wrong. So I'm going to assume that there's something back there around my nerve from the whiplash and stuff. And we were also doing prints, and her prints were dead on, but she's also psychic too. want to mention that, where she would give you information from your field without knowing anything about you other than your name.
Wow.
And I wanted to do the prints. Well, getting booted out of the group, I couldn't see where the work was going. So I was just kind of asking for myself. And I started getting all of this stuff for the words. And I was blown away. And I couldn't help myself. I couldn't stop writing. I couldn't stop, I'm like, I want all of this tonight. It took me several weeks and stuff like that to get through everything. But I'm like, oh, but it was so interesting and so fun. And Oren, who does the harmonics, I don't know, in the astral realms, it's not like you can just talk to people. He's more of a harmonic. So I had Lume, who actually kind of did the translation for me. And she was like, well, should I be doing this? I'm like, let's all do it together, And we just kind of walked through it step by step. And the book was born. So
that's pretty remarkable too. Like, just to get from start to finish, from having a really profound experience by meeting somebody who healed themselves through frequency or energy, and then being inspired to do something that brought that to the surface. And I do want to begin the question that everybody else will help them listen and be a part of it. If someone has never heard the phrase sacred remembrance, what do you hope that they understand by the end of this conversation? And I think it's exactly that. It is healing, self-healing, understanding that you're a part of something greater that can heal you in ways that we cannot fathom. What do you think about that?
Exactly. That's exactly what I think. We have the knowledge and the wherewithal to actually heal ourselves. And I learned when I actually started playing in the other worlds, the crystals, everything I went to had a vibration. The numbers, the signs, the crystals, the frequencies. And I'm like, okay, so it all matches up. Everything is everything together. And then I found, as I deep dived into, because I'm one of those, I hated high school, but I can't stop learning now.
If you can see all the books, so many books, I got you.
But I mean, it was just so much fun to realize that everything's the same. And, and I'm like, okay, so if this is true, then that makes the fact that we can heal ourselves even better. And I started doing Reiki and crystals, and my husband and I both had some major medical issues. And so I started working on him. He had Barrett's esophagus, which is the last stage before throat cancer.
Wow.
And it was bad. His throat, the pictures look like hamburger meat is how bad his throat was. So I was doing all of this. I'm like, okay, let's find out if energy work really works to heal yourself. And now he's been completely clean and all pretty pink for the last 2 years. His throat looks like a throat again, not something chopped up and thrown down there, So I'm like, okay, so there's something to this. But I think the first thing that ever intrigued me about frequency, I love the History Channel. And I was watching all this stuff about Tesla and the government taking all of his work. And I'm like, oh, when they do that, they're onto something. And then I saw something about somebody with organite. So I started making organite, and then the crystals and stuff like that. My house, I have crystals everywhere. There isn't a room, a doorway, or anything that doesn't have crystal on it. And then when I got into Sarah's group, they were doing, the frequency. And then we were making, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, that's cool.
The starship coils, and these things create energy. And the coolest thing about it, I can stick my crystals on it and it will energize my crystals. But if I lay it on my body, I can feel the vibrations from that. And then one of the girls learned that instead of, I don't know, these edges aren't really pointed, but they do kind of point. One of them said if you can arc them, the energy is even stronger in the frequency. So that worked for me. And then I bought some Pharaoh rods. Have you ever heard of Pharaoh? Yeah, I love those.
And when
yeah.
Show them.
When I use them, you have to wash your hands and then you sit there and hold on to them. I can feel the circuit going. But it's kind of weird because when I lay down at night and just lay in the bed, I can feel the earth moving. I can feel the vibrations and stuff. And at first I was like, is that an earthquake? Oh my God, the house is shaking. And then I realized it was just me, but that's what really kind of set things going and stuff like that. But
that's pretty freaking awesome. I'm over here like, you're exactly the type of person that if anybody knows when they listen to my podcast that I love talking to people like you, because it's like, it's right on board with everything that I think about. Because my biggest question, I think, every single day is, do people spend their entire life believing that they're becoming someone new, or do people remember who we've always been? Because I really believe in lifetime transgression. I believe that we travel and that we develop and change and alter from time to time. And it's so funny you said Nikola Tesla. I can't grab it right now because it's up on the wall, but my friend, he lives in, their dollar has Nikola Tesla on it. I think it's like Serbia. I think it is something like that, but their actual dollar it has Nikola Tesla on it. When I saw that, it was on my boyfriend's desk, and I was blown away because I was like, oh my gosh, this is somebody that I adore. I adore Nikola Tesla. I love his studies. That's why I created my book, The Cosmic Connection, is because of exactly all of these processes to get people thinking about energy and rotation and movement. So thinking that I met you and then you have this awesome book that we're talking about, I think that that's remarkable. But before we dive into the book itself, I'd love for everyone listening to meet the woman behind the pages. So who is Suzi, yourself? Tell us a little bit about your journey before you became an author, maybe when you were younger.
Younger was a mess because I would see things that nobody else could. I was freaking out constantly. I saw a shadow, my door and my grandmother's door. Mine opened this way, hers opened this way, and behind hers was a closet. And I was laying there one night, and I look, and this shadow comes right out the hinge and gets right up in my face, and I'm freaking out, having a fit. And later I found out that I play in the astral realms. Because I was kind of isolated as a kid. My mother was my biggest bully, so I didn't have many friends. So I started looking into all this stuff. It didn't matter what we did. If we went to the library, it didn't matter what we read. It didn't matter what we bought. She didn't really care. So any interest I had in this stuff kind of moved on. And I would wake up in the middle of the night screaming, but apparently I would bring people back with me for safety. And that was, if it wasn't me trying to get back into my body, it was somebody coming back to be with me. And then I moved into dreams. My dreams are way, way out there. And they have been ever since I was a kid. I have dreamt in colors that Crayola would kill to have. The blues, the movie What Dreams May Come, where he ends up in a painting, they're brighter and better than that. I mean, I think that movie, somebody got in my head and saw a lot of what I did. But I got into dreams, and then I was like into oils and herbs to try and get our health back. And when I did that, then I, started watching the History Channel and found Nikola Tesla and Rife and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, there's something to this. I was determined. And I told my husband, I said, I will figure out. We only use 10% of our brains. I'm going to be 100% before I die. And I have been trying, everything to get back, what I know. Deep down, I know that I'm not from here. I'm from someplace else.
But I think we all dig each other because we're not from here.
And one of the readings I had, the girl said, your Pleiadian family is just very pushy. They want you to know this. They want you to know that. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Because I'd already been doing a lot of that stuff. And like I said, everything I did was pretty much on my own. And I said something to my sister, and she found the group on Facebook, which I don't think they're taking anybody else. I don't even know if they're still together, because it's been 1.5 years since I've been there, and everybody just kind of fell off and started doing their own thing. But it was so cool when we would do Zooms and stuff like that. All the people who were contributing to the tones and the prints and stuff like that were doing some really amazing work. And then I just kind of had to go off on my own because I wasn't getting Zoom links anymore. So I guess they kind of fell out. My sister said they don't really speak anymore. And the more I go off on my own, the more rabbit holes I find to jump in.
Well, that's why you're in my group, the Cosmic
Yeah.
Crystals. I'm like, keep coming, keep talking, because I'm still adding things. I even added the Eastern astrology today, like a little bit deeper, because I found out like a trick about that. So I posted that, but I try to keep it very active, and hopefully that's helping stew the brain with knowledge.
It is. Between you and Susan and Addie, my brain just continuously, it's like, here we go. Let's go look at this. Let's go look at that. And your monetized class was so amazing. I loved it. I was just like, oh my God, I knew this, but I didn't know this, you know?
Fix the app too. So for those of you that will listen to the podcast, I'm updating it all the time. So make sure you check and make sure your information is correct, because I had to fix a calculation in the astrology for somebody who was born before 1966, because apparently daylight savings was different prior to 1966. So I had to adjust the calculation. So it is different for people that were born in the older years, but that's okay. It's still growing. I want to do another class about that, which I'll talk about at the end too, because I think that would be fun to do again and then bring in more people. But I did want to say, I read your author's story, and it's incredibly honest. You write about rejection, feeling misunderstood, and searching for where you belonged. So looking back now, how did those experiences become the foundation for your spiritual awakening?
Had I not lived those experiences, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I'd probably be doing something, because every time I got left alone, I was able to, pretty much pick whatever it was I was interested in. And if it was weird and odd, I didn't have to share it with everybody because they didn't like it, but to me, it was just calling my name, the astrology, the numerology. I didn't even know what Reiki was way back then, back in the early 70s or late 70s, early 80s, when I was growing up. It was, very little and stuff like that. And then there'd be ghost books and things like that. So I found it a useful tool for where I am today. Everything that I've learned, I even went to a couple of psychiatrists because I thought I had lost it. But they were actually cool. Everybody's like, you don't want to go to a psychiatrist because they're going to lock you up. And I get to both of them. And one of them was actually, she did dream interpretation, and she followed
Carl Jung, yeah.
She followed Carl Jung, and she helped me through all these dreams. She goes, your dreams are novels, okay? She goes, you could write these and nobody would ever believe these stories that you have.
Oh, yeah, you should write them. That's what I've been doing. Definitely write them.
I love the lucid dreams, though. Those are the best. My favorite one here recently, I woke up and I knew I was in the dream, and I was barefoot on a rainy day on a cobblestone road in an old town where most of the vendors pushed carts. And I was out there all by myself, and I saw this mud puddle, and I was like, I am going to jump in it. Well, I got splashed in the face and it woke me up. I came straight up out of the bed. I'm like, well, crap. You get water in your face, you wake up here. You get water in your face in your dream, and you wake up there. And I could not get that dream back to say it would, but I can feel the air. I can feel cool. I can feel touch. I can feel heat. I can smell things in my dreams that nobody could, because I smelt the clean rain, and that was just such an amazing dream to me. I'm very vivid and stuff like that. And so I want to find out a little bit more. I've been under the earth. I have been on spaceships, and those have been, aliens are funny. I love them.
I'm like, girl, I promise you, if you are down to talk about that, like do a live and then like do a class on that. I know a lot about dreams and astral projecting and lucid dreaming. I could talk to people about that. We actually did an episode recently with a friend of mine that's I can show it to you after we're done, but it's in the under like the speakers location in the classroom. We talked about dreams and like the messages behind it. And I want to teach this to people because I've been so passionate about what that is. So I think it's really cool that you're even talking about that. You're like, rolling with it anyway. So I really
Yes.
appreciate that very much.
Honey, like I said, if it's a modality that can be learned, I am in on it. I don't know how many dream books I have. I have studied all. I've thrown a couple away because they were garbage. You can read it and like, oh, this person just wrote stuff down. But for the most part, I've read a lot of young books. Freud kind of bothers me. Everything is sexual to him, and I'm like, why?
Well, because my thought behind the psychology for that one is that like it's like gets him to feel something. Like there might be a problem there where he was unable to feel anything unless it was related to like that. You know what I mean? So I think it has to do with that. Whereas other people are able to disassociate primal connection to like connect on a spiritual level. So I feel like for him it was just very physical and primal, and that's why.
I've never been able to get behind him, but all of the rest of, and I would love if you did a dream course. I'd be there with bells on, baby.
Build it then, because I have an idea of what to do for it, and I have 2 speakers that I would bring in to like talk about it, because I think it's a great subject. I guess the next part of it would be the birth of your Spiral Codex. The first part of the question would be, how did you learn to trust your intuition? And then the next part would be, what inspired you to write this book?
Trusting my intuition was hard because I kept having the issues like, is this real? Is this not? Is this real? But everything that was laid out to me, couldn't be poo-pooed away, it was there. And what was the other question?
And then what inspired you to write the book?
Well, I wasn't really inspired to write a book because I'm going to tell you, I failed grammar 4 years in a row in high school. And like I said, in that group, everybody was creating sound, healing sound. And I kept getting, no, you cannot. And no matter how hard I tried, everything on my computer would mess up, everything, anywhere, no tones, no nothing. I couldn't, it was just no, no, no. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I got, you have to put it down in words. I'm like, do you know who you're talking to? A high school English failure. But grammar to me is not a math problem, and that's what I kept. And it's like, grammar doesn't matter for this. This has nothing to do with grammar. So that's pretty much how the book came to be. And then I put it all together and I sent a copy to Sarah, and Sarah was just flipping out. For some reason in this group, I did not know this because, like I said, I kind of got disconnected. Everybody's guides or leads or, whatever you want to call them, were, because of the Solara kind of container, were spilling over, and Lumei was part of her, and she called me, or well, she called my sister. She talks, her nickname is RPM. She talks so fast. So I can't really tell you what it was about, but she was excited and she really loved the book. But she said when she saw Lumei in the book, she was like, oh my God, that was where I started with Lumei, and she said, I had to have something to prove to myself that I was there. And so I felt better and I got more confident. And then I was like, should I print this? Because I kept being told, you got to write a book, you got to write a book. And so I'm like, okay, this isn't really of this world. So I'm going to ask permission. I kind of asked permission for a lot of things that I don't fit. And Oren was like, and it's in the book too. Oren's like, yes, it was never meant to be yours alone because there are so many other people on this journey and they just don't know it yet. So I'm like, okay, I put it all together and I threw it out there. So hopefully somebody else can see that they're not a lunatic and have somebody else in the world. And then the confirmation I got, somebody else had written another book, because on and off, I was like, Solara can't be real. Somebody worked with the Arcturans, and the Arcturans have 12 portals that they built for this change, that we're going through into the golden age. And portal number 10 was Solara Harmonica. And everything that he wrote down was everything in that group that we were doing, that sound healing, harmonics, everything was a frequency. But the words that I wrote are supposed to be readable frequencies. And then the pictures that I put in the book, everybody who has seen it said that they're almost activations. They could feel the light codes on their skin lighting up and stuff like that. And I was just like, okay, I did it. I'm happy now. I have confirmation, not once, not twice, but 3 times, And I was just kind of happy. And I didn't misspell anything as far as I can tell.
Well, I mean, it looks good. Regardless of anything, I really admire that it's out, just because even reading the first activation, I really felt something behind it. And no matter how the book came to be, I think that's really important. I know that like when I wrote my book, and I'm sure other people who resonate listening to this that write their book, it's like, you're told to do this. Like, this is what we were told to do. We're told to come in. We're told to bring it forward and create almost like an invocation of how we pull that to the world and to the earth. So, I noticed immediately it wasn't like a traditional book. I noticed that it had that kind of guidance and like a connection, almost like the spiral. That's why like people will see with the thumbnail, I picked the symbol of the Nautilus, which is the divine spiral. I feel like that is our connection to all of life, because even behind that symbol, it represents the universe and how we're all connected to life itself, the breath of life. So I feel like it was important for you to do that, and I'm really happy that you asked your guides and that you were able to bring it to readers so that they can even start their own journey, Well,
I'm hoping the only thing, it is more galactic based and stuff like that, because we do, what are they, like 12 levels?
Yeah.
And so it's supposed to help you realize that you are one, what did they say? You're a drop of water in the ocean, and once you hit it, you never know where you're at. You're just part of everything.
Yeah.
And the book kind of ends like that, that you are there. And I'm hoping that if anybody takes anything away, even if they don't understand it, that they are worthy of everything. Nothing they do is not part of them. They're here to help. They're not alone in it and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what I'm hoping anybody gets that, isn't as woo-woo, I guess you could say, as we are,
Yeah, no, and I agree with that for sure, because I think it also helps people move from awakening to embodiment. I think your book starts up with an activation and it gets people in it and starting to wake up and starting to feel resonant. And then as you move through the book and maybe as you explore within yourself, it starts to begin to become like an embodiment where you explore co-creation, service, and self, reflection, and how you can do that, start acting upon that embodiment,
Yeah, there are several different chapters, and one is, kind of awakening. The next one is embodiment. And from there, it shows you that you are the collective. You are a massive part of the collective, which is, I've heard a dozen times over the years that when you reach that level, the reason that you think you're Cleopatra is because you're part that. And even though it's not your experience, you're sharing those experiences with others to heal. And that way others can learn from what you did without actually having to do it themselves. Because there's a lot of things that I probably never would want to live life, doing.
Yeah, like her ending, that bitten by snake and die by poisoning. I don't know that a lot of people would want to experience that finale, but I understand that. Yeah.
I'm definitely afraid of snakes, but I had a dream the other night that everywhere I went, there were snakes. And I'm like, and then I just got to the point in the dream where I'm like, okay, fine. You guys just do your thing and I'll just keep walking. So I kind of walk through the fear on that, because I don't know if they're my spirit animals, so to say, but I've never had a thing for them. Especially, there was a dream. This thing was bigger than an anaconda, a huge white snake. And he just turned around and snapped right in my face. And he could have swallowed me whole. He was that big. And then he just walked away, or slithered away, whatever you want to call it. So those dreams were what kind of got me terrified of certain things.
I also saw, and you brought them up multiple times, but you do talk a lot about Orin and Lume throughout the Codex, and the readers get to meet them. I want to ask, who are they to you, and how did these first enter your life, these two?
Okay, well, when I joined the group, Oren is a part of Solara. He constructs the harmonics. He helps the tones, the healing tones. He writes the music, the bridges, and stuff. The notes. And Lume, I want to say Oren actually was connected to someone else in the group. And since I wasn't there, I didn't know that until after the book came out. And Lume, I could translate. She's somewhat his assistant, but not really. She's just part of Solara. And she was able to put tones into words to me, just to... So that's how I came to, and after the book came out and stuff like that, they just kind of moved on their way and do their thing now. I don't think I've connected to them in probably 6 months. So
that's pretty interesting. When did you finish the book? When was it published?
October of last year.
Cool. So it's pretty recent.
Yeah, it's really recent, but it hasn't. Like I said, I don't have social media to put it out there because there's certain sites that you just don't put stuff like that on, and then everything. And I kind of pulled back because, like I said, the woman with the pictures, I finally got somebody who understood my vision, because she didn't want to post. She goes, "These lines aren't straight. They're not crisp. We don't do stuff like this." And I'm like, the ethers are not straight, perfect lines. Their frequency is movement. It's volume. And I couldn't get her to understand that, but the second lady did. And a lot of people who look at the pictures are like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I can see the movement in the, and stuff like that." So that made me happy. What I was seeing, they were understanding. It was just, and I was like, okay, if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, I did my part. That's the way I saw it. And because I read my book often. I don't know why. I'm just amazed that I could get something like that, It's just...
If people do want to find it, where would they go get it?
Well, I have links. I don't have copies myself, so I can't sell from my website. My website is dreamlightdragonfire.com. And the links to Amazon, Balboa, Barnes & Noble. It's actually sold, as far as I know, worldwide. I want to say it's Kobo or something like that. I see it in several different languages. So I was actually shocked that it had a reach that it did. But that was due to Balboa's reach and everything. But the links are on the shop page.
Cool.
And the website's fairly new. And so eventually, because after I did that, I just got on a tangent and started writing. And I have a series of shadow books, inner child healing, ancestral healing. And then I have some children's books, dragons, because my husband and I both have a dragon. I use them as the reference.
Oh, dragon, that's cool.
And then I have some fairies. And I when I met the fairy, I was like, "Do you have a name?" No. "What do you want to call me?" So I just made it something simple, Joy or Mary or something like that. And she was like, "No." And she came back with Moon Petal. "I am Moon Petal." I'm like, okay, I'm not arguing this. Don't tell me to name you and then just poo-poo what I call you. But it was cute. So
toward the end of the book, you include the sigil of completion, the mantra of the Ascension Seal, reflections, and a final message from Oren. So when someone closes the final page, what do you hope stays with them?
That they've always been whole. They can return to it any time. They're always kind of a work in progress, just, I don't even know how you would say it, but just that you're part of something bigger, but you're as equal as everyone else. Nobody is above anybody else. Everybody has their part, and nobody does the same thing. So,
well, Suzi, thank you so much for sharing your story, your heart, and the inspiration behind the Spiral Codex. I think what I've appreciated the most about our conversation is that this isn't simply just a book about a process or an experience. It's an invitation to reconnect with the deepest parts of ourselves and remember what perhaps we've carried the answers within us through all of our entire time. If you'd like to learn more about Suzi and explore her Spiral Codex book, I'm going to list all of the links for the show today as well. And to everyone listening, thank you for sharing this cup of spirituality with us. Until next time, be kind to yourself, stay curious, and remember that sometimes the greatest awakening isn't becoming someone new. It's remembering who you were always meant to be. And we'll see you next time on SpiritualiTea. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about project with the dream coming up soon, so you guys can look out for that dream experience. And I will be doing another astrology workshop as well, which will be posted in the link. So thank you guys so much.